Hey, not so fast, Daniel fast. Let's take a look at it today and make sure we're getting all that we can out of it biblically and spiritually. If that's your goal, if it's just diet or whatever it is your reason, let's look at it together and make sure we're getting what we want. Here we go. Hey, welcome to Todd Talk, and I am Todd Keene. Glad to have you back. Only the second episode. We're going to try to keep these things rolling. We're going to jump right into the Daniel fast, and I wanted to read to you and I want to just look at it so we can kind of get an understanding and make sure we're doing it for the right reasons. So right away, people probably click to look in, and right away we bring whatever we're feeling about it. If we're negative for the Daniel fast, you hear negativity. If you're pro, you're going to hear pro. And really, it's just information. So let's open our ears, add some balance to it, and make sure we're willing to hear and listen to what the Bible says, and we're doing it for what we want to get out of it. A lot of the Daniel fast is based out of a verse in Daniel, chapter 1, verse 8. I want to read it to you. But Daniel resolved not to defile himself with royal food and wine, and he asked the chief official for permission not to defile himself this way. Now God had caused the official to show favor and sympathy to Daniel, but the official told Daniel, I'm afraid of my lord the king, who has assigned your food and drink. Why should he see you looking worse than the other men because you're not eating some of these things? The king would then have my head because of you. And then Daniel said to the guard, whom the chief official had appointed over Daniel, he said this, please test your servants in 10 days. Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink, and compare us to the other people. Now, in the Bible, Daniel, he fasted a lot. But this is kind of a neat story about how the Israelites had been conquered, and they took Daniel and some of his friends back to the king's court, and they were going to serve in the king's court. They were involved in a training program because the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, that's a tough word, isn't it? Nebuchadnezzar, he found value in him, and he wanted to train him in his court, but they ate differently. What I want you to see in this is that, was Daniel really fasting in this particular? Now, Daniel fasted in other places, but this particular thing, but I'm leaving out certain foods, was it really to fast? Or was he just avoiding the foods that he wasn't allowed to eat, like the Israelites weren't allowed to eat according to Mosaic law? Like, I'm from the East Coast, and a lot of times I'm familiar with people being kosher and stuff like that, like no cheese or dairy, so like no cheeseburgers for your Orthodox Jews and stuff like that. I was kind of familiar with that. So in his day, really, what's happening in this verse, in this story, is Daniel saying, I can't eat those food. I can't defile myself with the stuff that you're serving because I have to follow Mosaic law. So he made a deal with them, and he said, I'm not going to eat these things. Just bring me this. And God blessed him, and he ate that way, and he didn't look any worse than the other guys. So when we think about that, it's kind of unusual because we base everything on, man, it must be the magic must be in the food, how he didn't eat those foods and he ate these foods. And there really wasn't anything magical about it. He was trying to follow the law and be obedient and not eat the foods. That's all that was. Now, there's other places in the Bible where Daniel did fast. And another thing they use for a verse for the Daniel fast is when Daniel fasted because he found some really bad information in one of his visions about what was going to happen to the kingdom. And he was so upset about it, he went into mourning. He was grieving. And when he was grieving, he said, I'm not going to eat any delicacies. I'm not going to eat any nice things. I don't want anything. I'm miserable. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. And he started crying out to God. And you know the story is the Bible sent a messenger to Daniel to bring him an answer to his prayer. And that angel got held up. This is some supernatural stuff here. We think we don't live in a supernatural world. This is happening every day. That angel was held up by the prince, and probably another fallen angel, which is a demon, was held up with that message for 21 days because it kind of matched the 21 days he was mourning and not eating. But what's neat about it is eventually that angel called for some backup, got another angel to come, help him out, get the message. And he went to Daniel and said, Daniel, I'm sorry I took so long, but man, this demon, this prince of Persia had me held up. But I want you to know something. As soon as you turned your heart to God, God answered your prayer. But then everybody goes, well, what about the 21 days? There's something funny about that. Why did that work out like that? I don't know, but that's kind of a lot to read into that, isn't it? I think the more important thing is where you set your heart to. As soon as Daniel set his heart to seeking God, it wasn't in the blueberry souffle. It was in his passion and his walk with the Lord. And as soon as that happened, the message was sent. And then there was battles in heaven, all this other stuff. And I just want to make sure that when we're Daniel fasting, I watch it on TV so much, and I think about one of the reasons the Bible talks about us fasting is we're putting something away. We're putting away the preparation of the food. We're putting away the time and thought into the food. We're going without so that time can be made up for us to focus on more spiritual things. But what I see happening is the time that we're putting away for our cooking and our preparation and turning into prayer time, is now turned into even more preparation time because everybody is online posting and going on. I always pretend like going online and Instagram and Facebook is like putting an ad in the newspaper. So you're telling the whole world. You're going online and telling the whole world and you're sharing your recipes. So it's actually taking you sometimes more times to build and make your blueberry strawberry souffle, and you're putting your schedule out there and your recipe out there and all this time and effort. How can that be time and effort well used for you turning your heart to God? And it ends up taking up more of our time. Is that possible? Maybe it isn't for you. Listen, I'm just saying, let's check it out. Let's know why we're doing what we're doing, because not knowing what's happening is never an excuse for not seeing the results that you want to see. You know, a verse I read earlier in the week talked about one of the ways that Jesus said we're to fast, and I want to read it with you quickly. This is Jesus talking about how we should fast. And the first thing he says in this verse in Matthew, he says, when you fast. I always thought that was so cool because, there is no commandment in the New Testament to fast. And all the great teachers that I follow always call it a Christian liberty. You can do it or don't do it. You know what I mean? It's up to you where your heart is. But I think it's fascinating that Jesus said when you fast. So that's like an assumption he kind of thought you were going to fast. So I think we should be fasting probably and dedicating ourselves. But he said this, when you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show men they are fasting. I tell you the truth, they have received their reward in full. You know what's weird about that? When people brag about something they're doing, hey, I'm fasting, I'm really struggling. It's not about fasting together. It's great that churches want to fast together. It's okay to be seen fasting, but are you fasting to be seen? Now, right away, somebody goes, not me, not me. And I always do that too, not me. This is not a judgment. This is a chance for you to look into your heart and make sure. If you want to turn your heart to God, turn your heart to God. And he says, let it be done in secret. Because if you're telling everybody else and they're going, man, I'm so proud of you for fasting, that's really cool, or thumbs up, or click for you, you know what they're doing? You're receiving your reward right there. It's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? Sometimes a little vanity pump up feels pretty good. I like when somebody pats me in the back and goes, man, you're really working hard for God. That kind of feels good. It's not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, but if you wanted something else or more, then we better zip it and keep our mouths shut and look lean and tight and hard and like nothing's going on, according to the Bible, right? It said, you've received it in full. But when you fast, you ready? Put oil on your head. That's like take a shower, get cleaned up, wash your face, so that it will not be obvious to men that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. That's what we want. We want our reward to be in heaven. So I just want to ask you this. Let's make sure we're fasting for the right reasons. When the Daniel fast is getting over, ask yourself if you gave yourself more time by fasting to pray, or did you lose less time in your dedication to following the right recipes and reading the books and all the commercialism that's involved with it? Listen, if you want a Daniel fast to get in great shape and vegetables and fruit is your thing, I don't know what your blood type is. I don't know if that's your diet scale or any of that stuff means anything to you, but if it makes you feel better, go for it. If that's a great thing, there's nothing wrong with that. You have liberty in this. But know what you're doing and why you're doing it. God gave us a head. Turn them on. Let's be ready to use them. Listen, I hope you enjoyed today's Todd Talk. I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel. Click on the subscribe button right now if you will. There's a little bell. I'm not sure if it's up here or over here. I haven't quite got this down yet. Click on it. It'll tell you when the next video drops. I'm going to do it every week. Listen, my name is Todd Keene. I'm the president of the Power Team. I run with a great group of men and women that go out and break bricks and blow apart water bottles and come in and do school assemblies, and we preach the gospel. And if you would like to have the team come to your city, I want you to go to thepowerteam.com, look us up, and give us a call. Maybe you want to find out about me, myself personally, Todd Keene. You can go to my website, look around, browse around. We look forward to seeing you in the future. Here comes the next Todd Talk in less than 7 days, I hope. Amen? Have a great day. God bless you.